All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Sales Vitamin Podcast. We have got a super guest today, Cody Butler, the best-selling author of Got Attitude and his newest one, the 90-Day Marketing Plan. He's featured on Fox, ABC, and NBC. He's a small business marketing and business growth expert. That's how he's world known for that. And we're excited to have him on today, one of the Sydney, Australia guest. We're excited to have him.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
So the 90-day marketing plan, what was the inspiration for that? And kind of walk us through that. And what's the meat and potatoes behind that? I know the book focuses on small businesses and kind of the small business marketing plan. And I'm assuming that you feel that that's where a lot of that need is rather than the bigger corporations.
Yeah, I mean, the need is there for everyone, really. I mean, I've worked with some of the biggest corporations in the world, and I can tell you, a lot of them, they're still in, 2006 when it comes to their marketing. That people just assume that the bigger corporations have their marketing sorted, but what they actually have is a big enough budget to absorb losses for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's what they have. They don't, their marketing, a large corporation doesn't need to see a return on investment within 48 hours or 72 hours, for example, because they have a lot of capital to support that. Whereas a small business owner can't invest $10,000 in marketing and then wait for 6 months or 18 months for that return to come back. So the inspiration behind the 90-day marketing plan was really just where can I add the most amount of value to the marketplace? That's the question that I always ask myself. So when it comes to sales or marketing or anything, really, the real question that a business owner or salesperson wants to ask themselves is, where can I add the most amount of value in this conversation? Where can I add the most amount of value in this business? Because if that's your focus, if you're focused on where can you add the most amount of value, then you're going to win. Ultimately, you can't be adding value everywhere and not be getting value back. So the biggest pain point of pretty much every business, small or large, is the marketing and sales aspect of their operation. They not that many businesses struggle with the delivery of their product because people start a business because they have a passion, they love what they do, they're great at what they do. So the systems, the operations, the delivery of the product generally is not the problem. The problem is they have no idea how to get that into the marketplace, the whole, and build it, and they will come. Philosophy really doesn't work when it comes to business.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So the 90-day marketing plan. So if I were to say, Cody, I'm company ABC, and you were to come and work with me, I'm a small business, what's going to stick out right away that you typically see that, what are the top 3 ways that you can probably pinpoint right away that you can come in and add that value and help me from that marketing standpoint?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing is, like, you're going to have a disproportionate amount of value coming from one area of your business. So it's the Pareto Principle, the 80-20 rule, whatever you want to call it. So the first thing to do really is to sit down and really pinpoint where the revenue is coming from. So you'll find that 80% of the revenue is coming from one channel. For example, let's say referrals or Facebook ads or however you do it, whatever you're doing, direct mail, whatever you're doing. And then within that, 80% of that revenue will be coming from one target audience. So the Pareto Principle, 80-20, basically states 80% of the result will come from 20% of the input.
Right.
So 80% of your complaints are coming from 20% of your customers. 80% of your sales are coming from 20% of your customers. 80% of your sales are coming from 20% of your salespeople.
Right.
So the first thing is to really identify what are the high leveraged activities, what are the high impact activities that are actually going to move the dial, move the needle within your business, and really focus in on them. So a good example of that, John, is when I first went through this process, I looked at all of the routes to market that I used in my business, and I had 10 or 12, only 2 of them was really producing revenue.
Yeah.
So I think there was around $1 million of sales, around $800,000 in sales that come from these 2 routes to market, but I had another 8 or 10 routes that I was investing in, putting time and focus. So it's like, get rid of all of that and only focus on what works.
Yeah.
what products are producing your highest amounts. What's the 80-20 product? So A, figure out what's the 80-20 of the route to market. B, figure out what's the 80-20 of the products. C, figure out what's the 80-20 of the customers. And then you can eliminate 80% of what you're doing and retain the same results, which is a massive time and money saving, or you can reallocate that 80% into the 20% that's working, which is just going to give you phenomenal results. You're going to see a 500-600% increase with no additional cost to you whatsoever. So that's definitely the first place to start, is to actually become aware of what's working in your business and do more of it, and what's not working and get that out of the door. Don't focus on that, for sure.
Yeah, that's it's interesting too, because a lot of the listeners of this podcast, they're sales professionals, and they get that 80-20 rule is applicable to just so many things. When you think about where they're spending their time, and their customers, like you said, 80% of that revenue or the sales that they're generating are coming from that 20%, and that's where they need to focus their time.
Absolutely. And then you can go 80-20 of the 80-20, right? So obviously the 80-20 is says 1 in 5 will be more valuable than the other 4. But then of those 80, you can 80-20 that down again. So of the ones that are most valuable. So that's why, for example, like you can go into Starbucks and they've got a $3,000 barista machine on the back wall.
Yeah.
Because they understand the 80-20 rule. They understand that the vast majority of people will only buy a coffee, but the 80-20 says that one person will want to spend a lot of money, and also says that one person want to spend a really large amount of money. So Starbucks give you the opportunity to buy a $3,000 barista machine for those people that want to spend. That's because they simply understand the Pareto distribution, and they're giving their customers that they know a certain percentage of their customers will want to spend that high dollar amount.
Yeah, that's very interesting. What are the mistakes that you see typically? If you were to say, what are the biggest mistakes you see from marketing and sales? They need to be aligned. They really need to be aligned. I had a guy tell me the other day that sales is the golfer and marketing is the caddy. Marketing is telling them the wind, where it's at, where it's going. The sales person or sales team has to execute. But where do you see the biggest mistakes? What are the mistakes that you see from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah, so I would one would be looking at those two in isolation. So saying you've got sales and then they're saying you've got marketing, I think is a mistake. So
Gotcha.
I've worked with like the bigger companies that I've worked with, they have a sales team and they have a marketing team. And the marketing team blames the sales for lack of the results. They say that the sales they're producing leads, but the sales team are not delivering the results. And then the sales team say, well, we're delivering our results, but the marketing team are not producing. So it's always the same. So whenever you separate sales and marketing out like that, and you think, okay, I've got marketing here and I've got sales here, it creates conflict. It creates a problem. So the first mistake is really looking at sales and marketing as two different things. They're really not. I mean, sales is like the cashier at the grocery store, where the marketing is the display. So
right. Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Sales is really like it's literally. I have salespeople work for me, and I tell them, I said, really, my goal is for you just to have to be a glorified checkout person. I don't want you to have to, it's like the question should be like, what's the expiry date on this product? Does this product come in red or green? You shouldn't have to be selling the customer that they should buy this product. The customer should have already have decided that they want it, and they're just, getting some clarification on some details. So, the sales part is just literally the taking the money part, and the marketing part is creating the desire. So like, I think a definition of marketing is really good. How can you market if you don't know what the goal is, right? So for me, the marketing is the definition for marketing is presenting your products to a viable audience in a way that creates the desire and interest to purchase. It's
Absolutely.
Presenting your products in a way that creates a desire and an interest to purchase. So if your marketing has presented your book or your product or your IT product, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, in a way that has created desire and interest to purchase, then the actual sales part of that is very minimal, right? The desire to purchase is already there. Now the sales part is actually just a transaction. So, you want to create the desire and the interest in the marketing part, and then you want to transact in the sales part. That's how I view the two. And really, I wouldn't separate them out at all. I would just say they're the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What about from a let's say systems and structure standpoint?
Yeah.
How are the organizations that you work with, whether it's small or,
Yeah.
like you said, the larger organizations may have that systems and structures, some of that in place, but what do you see from a systems and structure standpoint in a lot of the organizations you come to? Are they set up to really have that immediate impact?
No, no, they're really not. So marketing and sales for most businesses is an afterthought. It's really an afterthought. So the number of businesses that I've worked with that have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on building a product or a service, and then at the end of it they go, right, we need to get this into the marketplace. How do we do that? And it's like, well, what's your budget? And they're like, well, we've got $5,000 left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you spent $250,000 on creating and innovating, and you've left no money to. Software is a great. I worked with some software companies, and they're like that. It's like, well, we spent all of our money on the development of the software. It's like, well, there's no money for marketing left now, and a lot of businesses are like that. So the thing you have to understand is marketing is the money part of your business. Sales is the money part of your business.
Right.
Great sales and marketing equals great money. Poor sales and marketing equals poor money. No sales and marketing equals no money. So when you understand that sales and marketing is the money part of my business, then you understand that the majority of your attention and effort should go on that. Whereas right now, I'd say every business owner should be spending at least a minimum of 70% of their time on sales and marketing in terms of how they structure their day, their week, and stuff like that. I would say that's turned around. Really, the average business owner is spending probably, it's probably more like, I think 30% would be generous.
Oh, wow.
The average business owner doesn't spend 30% of their time. It's probably more like 5 to 10% of their time spent on sales and marketing. But it's like, understand that's the money part of your business. If that's not working, your business is not working.
Right.
That's why the majority of your time. So that, again, that's talking about 2 or 3 mistakes. That's a big mistake. Is the focus is in the wrong place. That business owners are not focused on the importance of marketing within their business, and they think, again, the whole people will just show up. It's like, it's not going to happen. Not in this world.
Yeah. Is it easier now to do the marketing and to capture that audience's attention and to create that interest in that marketing? Is it easier now than it used to be, but the people that you work with just don't know how to harness it?
Yeah, look, it's unprecedented opportunity mingled with unprecedented difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, like it's easier than it's ever been to get your message into the marketplace, but it's noisier than it's ever been in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So one of the big mistakes people make, again, words are important. How you describe something, it determines how someone thinks about it. How they think about it determines the outcome that they get. So we hear terms like social media and stuff like that. Everybody's familiar with social media, but the term social media doesn't describe effectively what it is for a business owner. So I would say, call it micro media, not social media, call it micro media. You've got access to, television. YouTube is the equivalent of television now. Whereas, 10 years ago, your only opportunity to get a video message in front of people was $100,000 media buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same with podcasts, are the equivalent of radio. Your only opportunity was a $30,000-$40,000 media buy. With now you can get on podcasts for a little bit of nothing.
Yeah.
Like the Facebook ads are like the old direct mail. I look at Facebook ads as direct mail. Whereas, previously you would have had to have spent $5,000 to $10,000 with a mailing house and the post office and stuff like that. Now you can spend $5 to $10 and you can get ads running.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at what people call social media as micro media and understand what it's replaced. YouTube's replaced television, podcasts have replaced radio, Facebook has replaced direct mail, Twitter has replaced email marketing. However you look at it, LinkedIn's replaced whatever. It's like, and now you can reach your target market in a micro way. You can target a neighborhood in a city, or you can target a small town, or you can target a very, very specific audience for an absolute fraction of the cost. And the key is really understanding what those people want. You've got literally about a half a second to cut through.
Yeah. Two things that you hit on that I really, and I know you're really good at this. One is content, or let's call it copy, writing copy, and having copy, how important that is. And then the micro media / social media, whatever we want to call it. How do you work with people on that? Because it can be so noisy and, hey, I got to be on all of them. And where do you start? I mean, that can be overwhelming to a small business, especially. So if you said, hey, you need to be on this one medium or this one micro media, what would it be? And that may be, you know, depending on what industry they're in. But the other thing is that copy, being able to write good copy. How important is that to a small business?
Well, it's everything.
Wow.
You know, copy is just, again, like people might not understand, or they may have misconceptions of what copy is. Copy is communicating your benefit. It's communicating your outcome. So sales copy is just salesmanship in print. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just salesmanship in print. So a lot of, I'm taking notes with you now, John. So it's like, if I'm on a sales call with somebody, I'm doing the same. I'm like, where, what are the stopping points here? What are the objections? At what point do they go, aha, it's like, I'm watching you. And when you start nodding, I make a note. He's agreeing with me. That's good. I want, or you start to pull back a little bit. It's like, he didn't like that too much. It's like, I'm kind of paying attention to
the body
what's
language
resonating with you and landing. It's like, I do more of what's resonating and less of what isn't. But,
right.
That's more advanced, but basically it's as to creating that message, it's like, what does your customer prospect want more than anything else? And when I say what do they want more than anything else, I mean really peel the onion here. So I've worked with lots of dentists, for example. We'll just use that as an example. So dental implant dentists who's selling dental implants, the person doesn't really want a dental implant. Well, what do they want? They want to feel confident in public. So you just peel, they want to eat pain-free. They want to, feel normal again. So I call it peeling the onion. So say, okay, well, this person wants a dental implant. Well, why do they want a dental implant? Because, they want to be able to smile in public. Well, why do they want to be able to smile in public? Because it's affecting their self-confidence. It's affecting their self-esteem. Well, why do they want to improve their self-esteem? Because it's affecting this aspect of their life. So it's like, now you're starting to really dig into what the person actually wants. So a good place, like with dental implants, we'll make a statement of what it is, and then we'll talk about what it is that they really want. So it could be like, dental implants, eat, live, and smile pain-free. So the eat, live, and smile, or eat, live, and smile with confidence again. Something like that. So you've got what it is, so people know that they're in the right place, and then it's like, well, what's the ultimate benefit that you're going to get? You're going to have self-confidence again.
Right. So it's that impact.
What's the impact? Exactly right. Exactly. Very, very, very good.
Yeah.
And then in regards to your second question, what's the right platform? Well, it depends on your product. So if you're selling T-shirts, then Facebook, for example. But if you're selling, emergency breakdown services, it's like probably Google AdWords. Where do people go if they're broken down on the side of the road? How do they search for your business? So the question is, where are people searching for your business? How are they coming into contact with you? So for some that will be Google. For some it would be Facebook. For some it would be direct mail. It just depends on the type of business that you have.
Yeah, that's do you cover that in the 90-day marketing plan? Do you have a whole section on the social media piece and how that kind of flows with the 90-day marketing plan, or is that something you get into later in the ballgame?
Yeah, so really, like that's a question most businesses don't really need to be asked. That's very premature at this point. It's like asking, you're asking questions about advanced driving principles before you've even got your learner's permit.
Right. Okay.
So really, it's like getting your message dialed in is the number one thing. It's like, who's your best customer? Go back. So step one is figure out who your best customer is, figure out what they really, really want, and then figure out the way to communicate that in the fewest words possible.
Yeah. And that seems simple. I mean, when you say it like that, because a lot of people I talk to say, that message is being able to tell the story. that's so important. And then what mode or what platform are you going to do that on? But that's not as easy as it seems. I mean, I think
No.
people think, oh, great, I'll do this and that. And they don't, until they meet with someone like you who's actually been there, done that, and done it. There's a lot of behind the scenes to that.
It's simplicity on the far side of complexity, John.
Yeah.
So you want to come up with a one sentence statement or a headline for your business that describes who you work with, who this is for, what the outcome is, and it sets up the offer. So, for example, let's just look like the 90-day marketing plan. Well, who would it be reasonable to assume that's directed at? Business owners. It sets up who it's for. What is the outcome? You're going to have, it gives you the outcome, and then it's like it kind of sets up the offer as well. If there's something else going to, if I'm going to make an offer down the road, what might that offer be? Well, it's marketing services.
Right.
So it says, the 90-day marketing plan says this is for business owners. You're going to end up with a marketing plan to grow your business, and the potential offer down the road is help implementing that marketing into your business. So what is a one sentence statement or a one sentence headline that describes who this is for, what the outcome is, and what offer are you going to make? If you can come up with those three things in one sentence, now you're onto a winner. So Amazon's a great place to start checking that out. Just start looking at book titles, and can you answer those questions from the title?
Yeah.
So, let me have a look. I've got a book in front of me. It's like High Performance Habits is the name here by Brendan Burchard. It's a good book. So, high performance habits. Well, who's it speaking to? What's the outcome, and what's the offer going to be potentially? It kind of answers all of those questions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you said, it's simple, but complex.
Yeah. Yeah. Where some people will go for, like concrete language beats abstraction every day of the week. So some people might go for a title like, and the mockingbird sings. And there's some super clever, it's like some juxtaposition, super clever. It's like, well, that's so clever. It's far beyond everybody. Nobody can figure out what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you found that, let's call them informational or digital products, is that an easier 90-day marketing plan than a physical product or service, or does it really matter?
So is it easier to market a product digitally or physically? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Or let's say a digital product, versus having a physical product that you sell.
Yeah.
Does the 90-day marketing plan work for either of those?
It makes no difference. So people say all the time, well, will this work for my industry? Will this work, or I talk to business and I give them to the strategy and say that won't work in my industry. It's like, if you're dealing with human beings, we're dealing with psychology here. It's like,
right.
Is your target market human? Then this will work for you.
Yeah.
So really it's just the delivery vehicle. So people, again, going back to your question, which platform, or, digital, physical, whatever, it's the same. It's like a platform is just a delivery vehicle. It's like it's the vehicle that delivers your message. So it doesn't matter if, you use a car, you use a bus, you use a train, you use a bicycle. It's like, if you're going to wherever, it gets you to the same place. That's simply the vehicle that delivers you to that destination. A platform needs to be viewed the same. It's like Facebook is just a platform that delivers your message.
Right.
Instagram is just a platform that delivers. You could use smoke signals if you wanted to. So the key, people tend to focus on the platform, which is a mistake. It's like focus on the message, because the message is what sells.
Yeah. Do you think people get too wrapped up actually in the actual platform, and they get tied up using that platform? Yes. Do you see that a lot in the companies, the small, where they're just so wrapped up in, well, I'm not on Facebook enough, or I'm not on Twitter or whatever, rather than what you're talking about? That's not the business you're in.
No. It doesn't matter. Like, good copy solves all problems. Good salesmanship solves all problems. So, the ad platforms are very simple fundamentally. It's like people complicate it and make it difficult because they've got to sell products. They've got to sell you on the idea that you need their help to use that platform.
Yeah, that's right. They do. Yeah, that's interesting.
So people make it seem like it's a lot harder than what it is. If you put a product in front of the right person and you communicate highly effectively, it's like you're drinking Coke there. It's like, it doesn't matter where you see it. It's like Coke know how to communicate that there's a sugary drink in a can, right?
Yeah.
If you see a red can with a line on it, it's like, that there's a sugary drink, and that's going to give you an endorphin rush and a little high, and it's going to quench your thirst. It's like, so they figured out a way that, like, when you see that message, that's they don't even need words to communicate what they've got now, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, figure out a way to communicate that what you have solves this problem in the shortest way possible, and then actually just put that on Facebook, put it on Instagram, put it in. It doesn't matter where you put it. Send out a direct mail. People are going to go, oh, that's a problem I have, and that solves my problem.
Yeah.
It's like, let me give you an example. So if I was working with you, for example, if you got a direct mail letter from me that said, hi, John, if I could show you how to book 10 paying guests on your podcast every single month, would you be interested?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, how complicated do I need to get with the marketing?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting.
Like, it just immediately appeals to a desire.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you work very hard to figure out what this is about. So a great tip for everybody is, I call it the so what test. So whether it's salesmanship or whether it's copy, ask the so what question. If you make a statement, can that question or can that statement be answered, so what? So going with your example again, John. So if you got a letter that said, or an email or something like that said, we help podcasts book more guests, can you answer that, so what?
Yeah, so what?
So what? So the mind can skip over it without engaging with that message. Would you like us to help you book more guests onto your podcast?
Yes.
So that requires a yes or a no. So, I mean, like the best thing a salesperson can hear is yes. The next best thing is no. So we're phrasing the statement or the question in such a way that guarantees a yes or no, which is what we want, right? Would you like us to book more guests onto your podcast requires you to engage, and it requires a yes or no. So if you say yes to that, now we've just enacted the commitment, the Cialdini commitment and consistency principle.
Yeah, it's a great book.
If you say no, then we've done our job and we've qualified you out.
Right.
So most people will create a statement about their business that is a so what statement. We help dentists get more patients. So what?
Yeah.
We help business owners grow their business. So what? If I could show you how to generate an extra $500,000 in revenue this year, would you be interested?
Yeah, you framed it totally different.
And then the next statement is, if the answer is yes, then read this. If the answer is yes, then do this. So you have to frame it in such a way that gets a yes or no. And if they say yes, then the next line is, okay, if the answer is yes, now do this. And that whole commitment and consistency principle is kicking in there. They've made a commitment. Now they want to be consistent to that commitment. So you're now starting to move the conversation in the direction that you want it to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is that, and goes back to that mind shift that I've heard you talk about, that what is that owner? Is that part of that mind shift owner that an owner needs to have, whether it's a sales professional or an owner? Talk about that mind shift that they need to make.
Yeah, absolutely. So 100%. So like your mindset is going to determine your outcome. Your mindset is going to determine your economy. So we're in a time of crisis right now, economically speaking, for whatever reason, whoever caused it, whatever caused it, it's irrelevant. We're here, right?
Right.
So, but you're talking to businesses all the time. I'm talking to businesses all the time. I'm sure you're talking to businesses that are booming right now, that are doing very, very well, whereas other businesses are crying in their beer. It's like, well, what's the difference? It's predominantly the mindset of the business owner. So some business owners have gone, this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. And other business owners have gone, this is the crisis I've been scared of.
Yeah.
what are you going to do? So that's just an example of mindset, right? How are you going to view this? Are you going to view what's going on as the greatest opportunity that will come around in your lifetime, or are you going to view this as the disaster that you predicted was coming?
Yeah. How do you look at the ROI of what you do, or how do you get it? And I don't think it's a complicated question, but I think it's one that as an owner or even as a sales professional, when you're dealing with people and you're talking about whether it's social media or marketing, well, what's my return on that? How do you measure those types of things? How do you have that discussion with a lot of your customers, whether it's a dentist or somebody else in another industry that, hey, I'm going to walk you through this 90-day marketing plan.
Yeah.
And well, what's my return on that?
Yeah. So you have to get good at measuring stuff, right? Everybody says, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. It's like, that's one of those statements that gets thrown around. But the reality is most business owners have a tertiary understanding of their numbers at best.
Yeah.
They simply don't know what their number, they have absolutely no idea what their numbers are. So, a basic principle, again, another mindset to understand is like, whatever gets measured improves. Whatever gets measured improves. So it's like, that being said, well, let's really focus. Let's find the areas of the business that we need to improve, and then put measurements in place. So, for example, it's very simple. Like most people make this more complicated than it is. So, the number one measurement, the number one thing to start measuring, and you can do this on a piece of paper. It's not difficult. Is how many people know about you, John, today that want, need, and can pay for your services that didn't know about you yesterday? How many people know about you at the end of this month that want, need, and can pay for your services that didn't know about you at the beginning? That's a key metric. That's a key number to measure.
Right.
So, you can sit there and if you're going to networking meetings or whatever, you can tally up how many business cards or how many hands you shook, or, if you're Facebook ads, you can count clicks or whatever. It's like, however you're doing it, however you're measuring that. But very small numbers make very big results when implemented consistently. So, for example, pretty much anybody can connect with 30 people a day on LinkedIn. They can do a little bit of research, and if you could connect with 30 potential podcast guests a day or whatever, we're just using that as an example, and that's probably not your main business, but
right,
I could connect with 30 business owners a day. So if I do that 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, that's 900 people a month that I've connected with. That now know about me at the end of the month that didn't know about me at the beginning. So let's say we're going to take a couple of months off. We'll take a month off to go to the lake in summer, and we'll take Christmas off. We'll take a month off for Christmas. So that's 9,000 people know about me at the end of the year that want, need, and can pay for my services that didn't know about me at the beginning. So, when you look at that in your business, it's like, how many, the reality now is like that number is very, very low. So when I start working with business owners, it's like that number, if they're being super generous and I'm letting them get away with telling stories to themselves, is probably less than 500 for the better ones for the year.
Yeah.
How many people know about you that will be a potential customer at the end of the year that didn't? And the answer to that question is less than 500 for the average business, right? So, what about if we just put a simple plan in place, which is you spend 15 minutes a day reaching out on LinkedIn, or you send 30 emails a day, or you send 30 direct mail pieces a day, whatever it is to get that number up. That's 10,000 people almost, or around 10,000 people at the end of the year. So we've gone from 500 people knowing about you that didn't the previous year to almost 10,000 this year. What do you think is going to happen to your business? So it's going to grow exponentially, but it comes down to just putting that simple measurement in place. How many people are you reaching every day? And that could just be a spreadsheet. It could just be, line, X through the line, right? Like the old counting to 5.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated. And then how many sales calls are you booking? How many people are showing up to the sales call? What's your close rate? Once you start to get, just start really simply. Just start with that metric there. How many people know about you, and get consistent at doing that. Get in the habit of understanding your numbers, and then start to add the more complicated numbers later on. That there's no aspect of your business that we can't measure and document.
Right.
Every aspect can be measured and documented. And when we start measuring it, it starts to improve. So just get in the habit of doing the really simple things.
Yeah, and you had mentioned earlier that, and I think that goes along with this question is, a lot of business owners don't know what business they're in.
They don't know.
And they don't know what business they're in. And you've talked about that, but talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit. They don't know what business they're in. And is that goes back to the mind shift that you have to get your customers into?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we kind of touched on it earlier on. So marketing is the money part of your business. Without marketing, there is no money. And I'm assuming that you went into business to make money. That's what I'm assuming. Like if you went into it to do good, that's great. But there are other places you can do good, like church, charity, stuff like that. Like business is about creating cash flow.
Right.
Is what it's about. So the understanding that business is about throwing off cash to create whatever, lifestyle, whatever, and that marketing is the money part of your business. It's like you're in the business of marketing. Most like let's use you for example. Say you're in the business of podcasts. It's like you're not in the business of podcast. Podcast is the service that you deliver. Marketing is your business. You're in the business of marketing. So I'll talk to a dentist or a chiropractor or a real estate agent and say, "What business are you in?" And say, "Well, I'm a chiropractor." I'm like, no, back adjustments are your product. That's not your business. Your business is marketing. You're in the business of marketing your services.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we won't behave in a way that's inconsistent with our identity for any length of time. So you can go astray from your identity for a very short period of time. Like you can be a very honest person. Your identity can be you're a very honest person, but you can tell the odd lie, but you'll come back to the honest identity. You'll come back to it. You can't stray from your core identity. So understanding that, you want to create a core identity that supports your ultimate goal. So if your core identity is as one of a business owner, there are 100 tasks you can do on any given day that validates you being a business owner that is not income generating activity. So you can be dealing with suppliers, you can be dealing with, accountants, you can be dealing with books, you can be dealing with employees, stuff like that. None of that actually generates income. The only thing that generates income is sales and marketing. So if your identity is one of a marketer, I'm a marketer who owns a dental business. I'm a marketer who owns a real estate business. I'm a marketer who owns a coffee shop. Then you will act in accordance with that core identity of being a marketer, which is income generating activity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It goes back to that mind shift.
Yeah.
And what the actual product or service, whatever it is that you're creating, is not necessarily what you do.
It's not important.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not important. It's like can a great dentist be broke? Can a great chiropractor be broke? There's no correlation between being a good dentist and, being a good dentist does not necessarily mean you can be the best dentist in the world and have no patients.
Right.
You can be the best real estate agent in the world and have no customers.
Yeah.
You can be great at what you do. Being great at what you do, being a great business owner does not mean that you're going to succeed financially. If you're a great marketer, you're going to succeed financially because marketing is the money part of your business. You can't market a product in a great way and not benefit financially from that.
Yeah.
So that's super important. You got to shift that mindset from I'm a marketer who owns a real estate company. Make that shift. I'm a marketer that owns a real estate company versus I'm a business owner that owns a real estate company.
Yeah, it's kind of like Nike produces shoes, but they're really a lifestyle and fitness and, personal company.
Absolutely.
That's what they do. So if I was to say, hey, Cody, let's go back 10 years talking about personal development, what would you say to the business owners and the small business owners? Hey, these are the top things from a personal development standpoint that you really need to focus on, because a lot has changed in those 10 years from technology and some things that help business owners, but there's certain key personal development things that really haven't changed. What would you advise those people to do? If you could go back and tell yourself that.
Yeah. So the business cannot become bigger than the business owner. So if you've got a 5-gallon bucket, you can't put more than 5 gallons of water in that bucket. It's as simple as that. Like if you just keep pouring water in, the water will just flow over the sides. And that's what happens with business owners. I mean, it's like, that's why we see businesses, they go up and they come down and they go up and they come down, because the business owner did not, if you want to carry more water, you have to get a bigger bucket, as an analogy, right? So the business is the water, but the bucket is you, the business owner. So your business is not going to grow bigger than you. So if you want your business to grow, then that's going to be directly proportional to the size of your personal growth. I mean, Jim Rohn said, work harder on yourself than you work on your business. I found that to be very true.
Absolutely.
I found that to be very true. So as your business grows, the problems are going to grow too. So a lot of people I work with, they want me to help them reduce the size of their problem. But I look at it like this. I explain, if you're a level 5 person and you've got a level 6 problem, you've got an issue. So the solution is not to make that level 6 problem a level 5 problem. The solution is to make you a level 7 person.
Yeah, that's great.
Now that level 6 problem is not an issue anymore, because you're a level 7 person and you're dealing with a level 6 problem. But as soon as you get to level 7, you're going to get a level 8 problem. So again, it's like, okay, well, if you want your business to grow, we're now dealing with level 8. I mean, do you think Elon Musk's problems diminish as his vision gets bigger and bigger and his mission statement gets bigger and bigger? I mean, the more he wants to do, the bigger the problems he faces. So the secret is understanding that, again, Jim Rohn says, don't wish that the problem was easier, wish that you were better.
I like that.
Don't wish the problem was easier, wish that you were better. A lot of, the problem is something that we can't change. Usually we are the variable, right? So I live in Sydney. It's the most expensive real estate market in the world. I mean, $1 million isn't even going to get you anything. It's like literally it's going to get you nothing. And people go,
wow,
real estate's too expensive. The problem is real estate's too expensive. And I'm like, no, real estate is fairly priced. The problem is you don't make enough money.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If you made 3 times as much money, would real estate be too expensive? And they're like, no. It's like, well, the problem is not real estate costs too much. The problem is you make too little. So when we got 2 sides of the coin there, right? So one is, we can say the problem is that real estate is too expensive. Or do we have any control over that whatsoever? Absolutely none. So if we give the power to the problem, and now we're waiting for the problem to change, for our situation to change, we've just completely disempowered ourselves. But if you say, the problem is not the price of real estate, the problem is my inability to create income. Now you're taking control of the situation, and you've placed the problem in an area that you have some control over. You can start to work on that. So it's like, well, let's just leave the real estate static, leave it where it is. That's fine. And now we're gonna make you, that's a level 5 problem. You're a level 3 person right now. We're gonna take you to a level 7 income. Then that level 5 property is no problem at all.
Yeah.
So exactly the same as a business owner. Don't wish the problems were easier. Personal development is how do you become a level 7 person? How do you become a level 9 person, to where the level 6, level 7 problem no longer exists for you, or no longer is a problem?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great stuff. That's, again, it goes back to that mind shift and that mindset and how you're looking at it.
Mindset's everything. It's absolutely everything.
One more question for you, but before I ask you the last question, tell the listeners where they can get a hold of you. Tell them where they can get the 90-day marketing plan, and just where's the best place to get in touch with Cody Butler.
Yep. So you can get the 90-day marketing plan.biz. You can get the book there. It's available on Amazon.com. Just search Cody Butler. I'm available on at CodyButler.com as well. And if you like interviews and stuff, I have my own podcast, Small Business Marketing Made Easy podcast, where you can get some more advice like this. I post podcasts most weeks. I try to do it every week.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, the 90-day marketing plan.biz is where you can get the book.
Okay. Are you on, I'm sure you're on LinkedIn and
all the standard usual suspects, social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, stuff like that.
All right. Well, you listeners, make sure you get there. Cody Butler, get the book, 90-day marketing plan, and get that Amazon run there to your computer right now, and get that book. Last question. So I ask all of the guests this question, And it's so in your situation, you've got one vitamin and you're talking with, let's say you're talking with one of your companies that you work with, but you can only give them one sales and marketing vitamin. What's
Yeah.
that vitamin you're going to leave them with today?
Follow up 10 times more than you are right now, and 10 times longer. Follow up more often and for longer. You quit too soon. You just quit too soon. So
Yeah.
again, mindset, like most people think that no means no, and actually no means not right now. Somebody says no or they don't respond, they interpret that to mean no, I'm not interested, when actually what they're saying is no, not right now. Now is not a great time. And when you understand that they're saying now is not a great time or now is not the right time, then it encourages you to follow up. So just follow up more, follow up longer as well. Minimum, I would say minimum of 18 months you want to be following up with people, minimum.
Okay. That's a great sales vitamin. That's a good one because in the sales profession, the good ones do follow up, but if you're not thinking about it, it's a couple of times and then you get lost. And so that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then when I say follow up for 18 months, I don't mean necessarily like, buy my stuff. It's just
Yeah.
top of mind, keep present, find a way to stay on that radar, find a way to stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, man, it is awesome having you on the show today, and
Thank you.
glad you could take some time out of your busy schedule. And I think this is going to be a great episode for the listeners and just a ton of value for them and all the things that you've talked about.
Well, thank you for having me, John. I surely do appreciate it.
You bet. Absolutely.